the lights being off from. All right, let's talk about last year. How many accomplished everything they wanted to last year? How many lost all the weight? I heard somebody back in the back there. How many lost all the weight they wanted to lose? All right, good. How many lost it and gained it?
Yeah.
Some starve for 3 weeks, eat crazy for a week. Guess what? Gain it right back. Yeah. So, what other? How many started Bible studies and never finished and still got the book at home? How many said, I'm going to get up every morning and read the Word of God before I go to work? Everybody said, I'm going to do it. How many made it 5 days and stopped? Maybe 10 and stopped. Man, it's easy to jump out there, ain't it? But boy, as time goes by and life catches up, man, life is kind of difficult, ain't it? Life is kind of busy. And sometimes things get in our way, do they not? I mean, sometimes, listen, just life itself can get in the way of where we are and the situations that we find ourselves in. I mean, even you think sometimes that's just for us. If I had Mr. Trump's money, that wouldn't happen. If I had a lot of money, that wouldn't happen. Well, back several years ago, back in the 1886, there was a man named Mr. Goodyear. Mr. Goodyear made a trip to Brazil. And when he did, he found what's called the rubber tree plant. And listen, man, he started shipping those plants right on up here, rubber right on up here. And guess what? Listen, Mr. Goodyear became, listen, just a #1 manufacturer. There's a man named Rockefeller, man, just a multi-millionaire, Mr. Vanderbilt, Mr. Morgan, J.P. Morgan. Those guys, man, they just made so much money back between 1886 and the early 1900s. There was just tons of money. They decided this. They wanted a place to hunt and fish. Now, when you got money, you just be able to do anything you want to, right? Well, they did. They went down in Georgia and found an island down there, and on that island, they just took possession of the island, just bought it from a man, and owned the island. And listen, they made it their own private little place. And that you just didn't decide to get up one morning and fly down there, drive down there, and go down there, because it was just sort of a private place. And you had to have money. Matter of fact, they really believe in history, they believe, or they say anyway. And you might not know this term, and that's okay. You can go home and Google it. The Illuminati was out of them men that had power, because at one time they pulled their money together and bailed the United States out of a couple bumps that we were in. Now listen, when you can buy or bail a country out, there's some money involved, are there not? But you know what happened? Georgia became a state, and Georgia saw all that was going on, and guess what? They went in and seized it, took the property, and now it is one of the largest places to go in Georgia for an amusement stuff. I mean, they got great hotels, great amusement rides. They got, I mean, when you go online and Google it, it's just one of the greatest. But they all lost that. And you know, sometimes I think we look at other people and say, if I was them, it would be different. Well, I want us to look this morning at the Apostle Paul, and I want me and you to do this year. I don't want us to say, hey, I'm going to read the Word of God every day this week. I don't want you to do that. I got 3 simple facts that he gave us right here. Now listen, this was a man that's been on both sides of the road. He's been a lost man. He's been a persecutor of the church. He's been one of those that just wanted to do away with Christianity completely. And then Paul found Jesus, and when he did, listen, life started to change. And listen, his career started to change. Everything that Paul once was changing completely. And you know, I think this sometimes we think that it just happens overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You know this right hand here? My wife's in the nursery, and I wouldn't lie to you. this hand, right hand here, never touched a vacuum cleaner, and I say this so ashamedly, for 20 years. Just didn't. It just didn't do it. And not no good reason for it, not no good explanation. I just didn't do it. And you know, my hands, I'm not sure today, other than Maxine forcing me into it, have been in much dishwater. Wow, man, and I'm old. They've been submerged very little in dishwater. And I'm looking back and I started thinking about these things. I said, well how's it come? And then I started looking at other things in my life, and well, you changed those, why didn't you change these? And sometimes I just sort of feel like Paul, I'm just sort of torn in between. And then I was just praying about this year, what do we really need to do? And then I come to this is where I am, okay? It's not what we need to do, it's what I need to do, okay? So y'all just sit back and relax, okay? This is all about me today and in the book, all right? Paul says here in the book of Philippians, chapter 3, let's just walk down through here. Let's just start somewhere, just wherever we need to. Let's go up to verse 7. But what things were gained to me, these have count loss for Christ. Listen, Paul was a man that had gotten many, many things. Mr. Goodyear and all them men had obtained many things. Listen, but Paul got to a place in his life with Jesus that, listen, all of those things are past. All of those things are, they were nothing. They didn't do any good for me. It was a worldly way of living, and Paul says, man, all of those things in the past are behind me. And he goes on down, he says, yet indeed I also count all the things lost for the excellence of the knowledge of Christ. Man, there's one thing worthy of knowing, is that the knowledge of Christ. Verse 9, he says, and be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ Jesus, the righteousness which is from God by faith. Man, that's pretty cool too, faith in God and his righteousness. Verse 10, that I may know him in the power of his resurrection. Now, if we could get plugged into the power there, that would change life, would it not? Listen, many people trying to do this, trying to fix something, trying to change something, but the problem is so many times they're not really plugged in. They're working themselves to death on trying to change. They're trying to lose weight. They're trying to read their Bible. They're trying to start tithing. They're trying to start doing Bible study. They're trying to start going here. They're trying to start doing that. But you know, until you get plugged in, to Christ, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same old thing again. Tony Evans preached the greatest sermon I ever heard. It's called The Same Old, Same Old. You can Google it or YouTube it and pull it up. Listen, he uses the term same old, because we get up to the same old so many times we miss. And it's all because this, we're doing it on our own power and our own strength rather than being plugged in. Sometimes we just got to get plugged in to what Jesus did. I've been praying with this person on Facebook for about 4 weeks now, and had some stuff done, and then went and had some other stuff done, and should get the results Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And all waiting on this, waiting on the doctor to get plugged in and read the results, because he's not. Doctors are kind of slow on the holidays, you know. They just take off, I think. They don't care about us being sick or something. And anyway, this person is worried, and I said the other day, I said, listen, we don't need to worry because we know the one that created everything. And he's able to meet that need that we have because we have the power source. There's a great song this morning, Jen, because the Father is who he is he not? And listen, he is a good Father, and he's out there to take care of me, and he's out there to take care of you. And all you have to do is allow that. Look at verse 11. He said, if by any means I may attain to the resurrection from the dead. Not that I have already attained or am already perfect, but I press on. Now, I love what he says here. Sometimes people look at other Christians and think they're perfect, and they're not. Sometimes they look at them and think, man, they don't have no sin in their life. Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes people might look good. Sometimes I opened Kip's room up this morning, and him or George one took a bath. Because it really smelled good in that room. I mean, or either somebody got aftershave for Christmas one, because I opened the room, there were 2 fellas in there. I said, man, that smells really good. But you know what? We can look good. We can smell good. But that sure don't mean we're perfect. Listen, sometimes we look at somebody else and say, man, if I could be just like them. Maybe if you could put your feet in somebody else's shoes, you would change your mind. Because listen, till you start walking where somebody else is walking, you really don't know what they're going through. You don't know the heartache. You don't know the stress that's going on. Can you imagine just the stress that's been going on in people's lives this time of year? I know 4 people that have passed away in just the last few weeks. Listen, can you imagine that right here at the holidays? What a stressful time that is. And all that's going on where? But yet they're trying to do what? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You know, but on the inside they're what? Falling apart, are they not? I love what Paul says here. Let me show you 2 verses here. Look down here at verse 13, 14. Brethren, I do not count myself to apprehend, but one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth to the things which are ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Therefore, let us as many, now this is the hurtful part here, okay? This just determines where you are in your walk with Christ, okay? He says this. He says, therefore, let us as many as are mature have this mind. And if anything you think otherwise, God will reveal even this to you. Now listen, 3 thoughts I want to give you, okay? I'm going to do this year. There's not anything I can do. I went back and I checked the attendance for last year and compared it to the year before. I went back and I told Maxine about funerals. Man, I've done so many funerals. I should own a funeral home. And but it's amazing all of the things that have happened. And I look back and some of the things that I wish I had done, I didn't do. Some things that I started, I didn't finish. I found 4 books and I didn't finish them. Got halfway. Did you ever get halfway through and just sort of get bored and stop reading? Yeah, I've got 4 of them from last year. And you know, just some things that I wish I had done. And I've been wishing to move my office. Been wishing to move my office. Just right. Dumb idea. Dumb idea. I went home a few nights and I couldn't hardly walk. When I moved all them books and all this stuff, crazy. But anyway, I look at it this way. I cannot go back and change one of those things. I did really good on my diet last year. I mean, man, I was really doing good. I lost some weight and I was doing really good about keeping it off. And then I thought, you know, when Christmas comes, you ought to do what? You're able to eat, should you not? Well, listen, you can go and not eat bread and potatoes for a long period of time, and you'll lose weight. You will lose weight. But the bottom line is when you start eating potatoes and bread and biscuits, and my wife is a great biscuit maker and a great yeast roll maker, and when you start baking that stuff and making that stuff, and I see how many of them I can eat, guess what? It don't take long to put it back on. So I decided, well, you know what, I'll just beat the far out of myself and we'll just do that. And I just decided when I was doing this sermon, this. Point number 1 is this. I'm going to start this year off and have absolutely no regrets. I'm going to let it go. Paul says, forget those. I cannot go back and take 1 of those pounds. It's already a mess. They got to be a new place because I hear people do this all the time. Well, I've lost 3 pounds of the 5 pounds of the 6 pounds of the 8 pounds that I lost that I gained. Shut up! Shut up! Just say, hey, I'm starting right here at 375 pounds and going forward. I'm going to have a starting point. Listen, and I'm going to forget. Listen, Paul said, I forget the things which are behind me. The things that I did, the mistakes that I made, the things that I wish I did. I'm going to forget it. And listen, you got to come to a place where if you don't, you know what you're going to do? You're going to hold on to them forever. And you know what they're going to do? Let me tell you what they're going to do. go home and get you well, they don't have 5-pound bags of sugar anymore and stuff like that. It's 4 pounds. They cheat you out of it. It looks like 4 or 5, but it's really only 4. And get you those and put them in bags and take them on, or tie them on your belt loops, okay? Now listen, when you get up, that's 10 pounds extra. That's 10 pounds of regrets and junk that you're carrying around. When you decide that you're mature, remember what the next verse said? When you're mature enough, let them go. Cut them loose. Just take them things off you, because there's not anything you can do about it. Let them go. Stop. Just let go. Just cut them things off and lay them down, because as long as you have them on there, you're never going to be able to do the things that you can do now. So many times we're bringing stuff with it. Y'all bring baggage with you? Yeah. I'm going to take a trip to Africa. And I got it down to this. Everything that I take, I leave but me. I got a new suitcase. Somebody gave me a couple suitcases. I took one of them out there. I'm going to keep it and use it for my carry-on, because it's big enough, but small enough. It's a carry-on, but it's the way it's made. It's big enough. I can put everything in there that I will need while I'm in Africa for 10 days, traveling 10 days. I can put it all in there. And all I have to bring back then is an empty suitcase. So many times we take what? My little wife, I love her to death. We can go anywhere and stay, and I don't stay any place that doesn't have this, that doesn't have all of the stuff already in it. And I tell her, I say, honey, there's no need to take a hairdryer. I mean, you can stay at the cheapest hotel in the world today. I mean, the $29.95 job over here on Union and 3rd, and they got hair dryers in there. Guess what she takes no matter where she goes? Hair dryer. Why? Ain't nobody's works like mine. Yeah. That's just extra junk. And you know, when you start packing all the junk, for her to go away for a Friday and a Saturday, it takes her more stuff to go than it does for me to go to Africa for 10 days. I don't need all that stuff. But you know, just think about this honestly. In a day's time, how much stuff do we put in our life? Just stuff, listen, that crowds out the things that might be important. Listen, let's don't have no regrets this year. Let's put those things behind us, man. Say, hey, I'm going to have a new change of thought this year. I'm going to look different. I'm going to think different. I'm going to do things that are different. Listen, did you ever make any bad deals last year? Did you have any bad financial deals? Are you in a financial mess? Listen, just decide this. I can't do nothing about my finances from last year. Did you ever look back and say, man, I wish I'd have done this for Annie Armstrong. I wish I'd have done this for that. I wish I'd have done this for the church or that. Forget all that stuff. So many times we live in regrets. A person stopped me the other day and said, hey, man, we want to do something for homeless people. I said, go buy them a home. And anyway, I told him, I said, listen, I got some fellas, and I said, listen, they come by every couple of weeks, and I said, they live in the park and other stuff, and I said, listen, they can only eat stuff, they can open stuff they can eat out of the can, they don't have no microwave, no stove, none of that. I said, listen, if you want to do something, just go buy a bunch of that and bring it back to me. What do you think happened? How many think they brought me something back? All of you think they didn't bring nothing back? Okay, how many think they brought something back? 6 bags. Never known them to give anything. 6 bags of food. What happened? Who knows? But listen, sometimes you just don't know. Put it out there, give them a chance. And for us, you know what? So many times we look at last year's blunders. Let's look at what we can do this year. This year alone, I can feed them guys right now for probably the whole month of January and February. Listen, so many times we look at what we can't do. Listen, let's stop today. Let's don't have no regrets. Let's do everything right, the best we can. Do everything with our finances. Do everything with our spirituality. Listen, read that Bible every day. Listen, just set you some goals. Keep them simple. Listen, don't get carried away. You don't want no regrets. Keep them simple. And then look what else he says. You got to do something else. Brethren, I do not count myself to apprehend, but one thing I do, forgetting the things which are behind, and reaching forth. Now, I want you to realize this. Those are actions. Those are not pew warmers. Those are actions. I talked to Brad the other day and Scott, and I've been talking about getting 4 pews for the back. So anyway, he said, I got it. So I'm going to go get the 4 pews and put in the back. But I've talked about that forever. Well, guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? Me and Paul Hubbs is going down to check them out and see what it'll take to move them. You see, I think so many times we've got to forget what happened yesterday. And listen, if we're going to do something today, we've got to reach for it. Look what he said, and reach for it. You got to decide, I'm going to do something different. Whatever it is you want to do, you've got to decide. But I promise you this, if you don't decide to do it, you know what you will do? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I had a great big old honking desk in my office. That thing was a monster. It probably weighed 500 pounds. I decided I'm going to get rid of that thing. And I couldn't find nobody to give it to. I said, it's leaving, it's leaving. So I called Rick one day and I said, hey Rick, what are you doing? He said, man, I just got off work. I said, what are you doing? He said, I said, well, come on up here and help me. And then about that time, Paul Hubbs called. I said, Paul, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm not doing nothing. What are you doing? I said, come on up here, just come on down here to church. He said, okay. I said, bring your toolbox with you. Me, Paul Hubbs, and Rick got back there and we tore that cabinet apart. We took it apart. And then I said, it's got to leave my office. It cannot stay. It cannot stay. And then I got it all piled up out here. And I then decided my son-in-law is a borrowed pack mule. He can pick it. If you want something moved for enough money, I'll get him to move it, okay? He can pick that entertainment center up and moved it by himself. From the top of the stairs to the road, by himself. So I thought this will happen. If nothing else, I'll get my son-in-law to pack it down to the road and I'll get rid of that thing. Lo and behold, I talked to Randy. Randy needed a desk in his office, so guess what? We called Randy. Randy called his driver. The driver came. And listen, Randy's got a driver like a mule. He just picked it up and carried it all down there. But what, 2 pieces, wasn't it? 2 pieces like to kill me and Randy and the driver. But listen, you got to come to a place that you're just not going to have no regrets, okay? And you're going to do something about it. You're going to reach for it. You're going to take it apart. You're going to tear it apart. You're going to move it. You're going to change it. You're going to do something to make a difference, or either you're going to be in the same old place you've always been, doing the same old thing, which is nothing. Which if you go to a great psychologist and you pay them $150, or go to your therapist and pay them $150, or donate to the building fund $150, this is what it's going to be. When you do the same old, it's insane. Most people pay a lot of money to get to know that. Let me tell you something. Don't be insane this year. Make a difference in your life. Put something out there and say, man, I'm going to go do it. I want to do it. Somebody said the other day they was going to start memorizing Bible verses. And so I just want to see how that gelled out. So I called Joe Veal. He probably knows more Bible verses than any person I know personally. So I called and I told him, I said, Joe, how long did it take you to learn a Bible verse? He said, it's something you have to commit to every morning of your life. He said, the first verse I memorized was John 3:16. And he said, when I got up every morning, I started on John 3:16. And he said, I got it until where I had it down. And he said, now I go back and every now and then I redo it. Because if you don't keep redoing it, guess what you do? You forget it. And he connected it to the athlete runner in the book of Hebrews. That this, you can get up and you can take off and you can start doing it. You can be reaching for it. But if you don't keep the practice up, you don't keep running at it, you don't keep charging at it, guess what you'll do? You'll not become efficient at it. You'll get parts of it, you'll get little bits of it, but you won't get it all, or you won't get it right. Listen, you got to practice it. So listen, whatever you want to do, just start this year. And listen, start reaching out there and say, man, I want that. And I want my prayer life to be better. That's why I'm going to do this thing on the war room. Listen, give a great illustration of this. And I'm going to allow this until they become so unruly that I can't. And then I'm going to choke them to death, okay? I'm going to let kids come for this reason. In the video, it shows a mom and a daughter. Guess where the daughter learned from? From the mom. Now, my theory is if I can get mom and children or dads and children and get them to watch this and go through this together, and then take their children through that, what will that do to our church? That'll radically change our church. Why? Because our prayer life will increase. And when our prayer life, listen, when our prayer life increases, now watch, this is really deep stuff this morning. When our prayer life increases, that means we're plugged in. Amen? And when we're plugged in, that means we've got the power. That means we can accomplish a whole lot more for the kingdom of God. But we've got to be willing to do this. You got to reach out there and decide, hey man, I want something different. I don't want to be in the same old situation. Let me give you one more good thought about that. Because see, sometimes you just got to reach out there and do it. Matter of fact, my wife sent me one day down to the Toyota place. And she said, now I just want you to go down there and there's a red, white, and blue Toyota down there. I want you to go look at it. And I said, okay. And so I went down there and I looked at the red one and it had a lot of miles on it. The blue one, it was just sort of yucky. It was an ugly looking blue color. I didn't really like it. And then they had a white one, and I just didn't like the white at all. So I didn't get that. I didn't look at that. And so anyway, this guy Shannon, he's there. Me and him are talking, and he asked me what I want, and I told him what I wanted. And I said, my wife sent me after this. Either the red one, the white one, or the blue one. Because me and her had already been there over the weekend. We'd already looked at it. Red, white, or blue one. You thought all together, didn't you? Red one, blue one, white one. So I was just being obedient. And I went down there. Anyway, I talked to one of my daughters, and they gave me this lady's name. So listen, while I was there, I just flipped out this lady's name. And when I did, that changed the whole conversation. He said, just a minute, and he left me. And he went inside and dilly-dallied around there and come back out. And he said, Mr. Criswell, let me show you something. And he took me over there and he showed me this green car. And he said, this is just exactly what you need. It's got everything that you could possibly get. He said, by the way, I'm going to have it washed for you. So I said, you don't need to have it washed. I said, I'll bring my wife back. He said, no, you don't understand. That person's name told me to not let you leave here in your old car, to put you in this new car if you leave. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I said, okay. So anyway, I went ahead. This is true. And anyway, he went ahead and he washed it, filled it up with gas, brought it back out, gave me the key, and he said, there you go. So I called her and I said, hey, I got your car. She says, which one did you get? I said, the green one. She said, there's not a green one. I said, oh yeah, it's green. So I went and picked her up and I said, listen, you're not having to buy this. They just told me I couldn't leave. The lady that this person hooked me up with said I couldn't leave without a car. Now listen, I didn't go there to buy a car. I went down there to look at a car. And I went down there to check it out. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I talked to somebody else. And that person said, hey, this is what we want to do. And listen, I got the car and I drove the car down and I picked up Denise in it and I brought her back. And she looked at the car and she drove the car and went around there and everything. And she says, I don't think I want to buy the car. I said, okay, good. Let's go home. I'm ready to eat. I'm starved to death. So what I'm thinking about. Anyway, we went in and sat down. And listen, this guy just walked her right through and he just said, sign right here. And she walked right out of there with the car. Did she want to buy a car? No, she didn't want to buy a car. She didn't think she did anyway. You know, sometimes God wants to do something in your life, but you have to allow that to happen. Sometimes we're this. We can say no so many times that God just stops. And you know, God just worked that out for us all the way around. And you know what? God will put you in a place, now listen, if you want to. You know, sometimes you limit yourself on what you think God can do. But God wants to do some extraordinary, great things in your life this year. But you have to be willing to let Him. Let me give you just a couple thoughts a little more. Number one is this. You might have thought that, hey, this is what I'm always going to do in my life in church, and that's it. That's only because you put limits on it. Okay? You're the one put limits on it. You're the one put limits on you singing. You know? You really are. You're the one that says back there and says, well, I can't sing. Look, hey, let me tell you something. I know that I cannot sing a blessed lick with God pouring out the Spirit of God on me. I still can't sing a lick. But you know what? For Christmas, we sung 2 songs. Amen? Did we make it through? That's right. You'll decide this. Either I'm going to go through or I'm going to stop and I'm not going to be able to do nothing. You might be that one here today that says, well, Brother Doug, I can't teach. That's only because you won't study to show thyself approved, a workman that does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the Word of God. Any person in here can teach the Word of God. And you say, no, that's not true. Then why don't you rip the book of Acts out and throw it away? Because it says this, well, these are just ignorant men. These are even unlearned men. You don't have to have a degree to teach. You don't have to have a degree to teach children. You don't have to have a degree to teach adults. You don't have to have a degree. Listen, I would pastor a church where 7 deacons there had been saved already 40 years, and I was only 30 years old. Now, how do you do that? Just go on. Just reach out there. You might be that one here today, Brother Doug. I just love to see somebody saved. How many people has God put in front of you last year? Now listen, I'm going to be hard pressed to argue with today. Me and Stephanie, every Christmas Eve, we go out to breakfast. I went to Frisch's with boxes and stacks of popcorn. Did anybody stop me from handing it out, sis? I gave a business card and a flyer away. Don't tell me you can't share Jesus. You can share Jesus if you want to. You can invite people to church if you want to. The only thing is, you've got to decide, you know what? I want to reach out there this year. I want to sing. Maybe I want to learn to sing. Maybe I just want to sing in the choir. Listen, I used to have a music director, and this is how bad. How bad. I'm going to try this with you, Randy. I could stand this close to him and sing, and I could take over. You remember, Shell? I could stand right here beside him, and hey, this guy could sing. But I could stand right here beside of him, and there's just something about my voice. And I could get you to follow me a lot easier and just get him all out of whack. And I can't sing. I say that for this reason. Me and you can learn to do whatever we want to. You know what? I just think it's so neat when children get baptized and children's lives are changed because of Sunday school teachers. People think it's because I get to stand up here. It's not. It's what Sunday school teachers do. You know, Sunday school teachers are some of the most amazing teachers because it takes a lot. It does. And this is why I think most people struggle teaching. It takes a lot to prepare to teach somebody for a week. I mean, it does. You've got to put a lot up here to get up here for an hour. You better have it up here or it ain't going to come out of here. And I think sometimes for us, we just think we can't do that. We can't. Anybody can. You know, sometimes we think, well, I just can't. Let me ask you to do something this morning. I just want you to bow your heads, close your eyes. I want you just to ask this, not me. I just want you to do this. Ask God. You know, just ask God. You ready? Just ask God. What do you want me to do this year, Lord? You just want me to sit here, Lord, and keep the bottom of this cushion warm? Is that what you call me to do, Lord? Lord, I can sit here and I can do that because, see, that's an important job too. That we have the auditorium for. Lord, you know, I'm going to pass people this year, but I just, you know, I just can't. You know, that's not what the Lord said, was it? Lord can do anything in your life if you decide to let Him. But listen to me this morning. You've got to ask Him. And then when you ask Him, you got to decide to do that. Now, see, I believe as we start this 7th year, I believe we can do more this year than we have ever done before. More than we've ever imagined in our lives. Wouldn't it be good? I know this is just going to blow your mind. Wouldn't it be so cool to add an addition on? Ah! Wouldn't it be so crazy to add a classroom? Wouldn't it be crazy to provide a Sunday school class? Listen, what do you want to do for Jesus? And maybe you're here, maybe you just feel this. Brother Doug, I'm just burned out. I'm just tired. Brother Doug, I just think I need to take a day off. Maybe you did. Maybe you are tired. Maybe you are, listen, spiritually just exhausted. But maybe you just need to get started, get some new spirit moving inside of you. Maybe you need to just dive, just as the song said, just dive a little bit deeper. Maybe you need to be fed just a little bit more. Maybe you need a little bit more encouragement to get started this year. See, I think we all need something. Every person in here. But will we do this? Will we ask God for it? Well, no, God's got too many big things to worry about rather than me. Doug, there's people out here who got cancer. There are people out here who got sicknesses. God ain't got time to worry about my little needs and our little wants and our church. Oh, really? Then what about in the book where it says Jesus died for this building, for this church? He is concerned about you. You're part of the body. You're part of the body that He wants to use. Ask God. I'm going to ask you to just sit there, Dave. Don't want you to move around. Don't want you talking to nobody. Just you and God. And I'm going to have Betty to play after I pray for us. And today maybe you just feel the need to get up and just come thank God for last year. And maybe you just feel that, you know, while I'm there, I'm going to ask Him what He wants for me. You ready? Dear Lord Jesus, I love you. I thank you for this day, and I thank you for this time. Thank you for the privilege of being able to be here in your house today, Lord. Father, I ask that you continue with us through this day, through this time, and we believe you guide us in everything that we do. And we will give you the praise, the glory, and the honor. Father, we love you. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Just sit right there with every head bowed, every eye closed. Just sit right there and thank. If you need to, just come on. As Betty's playing, just come on, do what God wants right now. Come on. It's all about you. Come on, don't cheat yourself. Just go do what God wants you to do. I might want you to do something you never dreamed of. But it's just gnawing at your mind. Just gnawing at your heart. You know, that could be God. It's possibly His God. Sometimes we don't want to own up to that, do we? Answer God this week. Listen, forget all the past stuff. Let's look ahead. There's some great goals for this year. Let's reach out there and get them. Don't cheat God out of what He wants to do in your life. Don't cheat yourself, man. Come on, let's do what God wants. Father, we love you. Thank you for this day. And just this wonderful morning to be here in your house to worship you. On this first day of a brand new year, Father, you just lead us and guide us and do everything you want us to do. We ask it all in Jesus' name.